One day in North Carolina, a man named Patrick Conley was startled to see wild black bears roaming near his home. But these bears weren't just passing through. They behaved in an odd, deliberate manner, pacing around his property and gazing directly at his house. Patrick, confused and slightly alarmed, took a closer look at one of the bears and suddenly realized something incredible. They weren't there by accident. They had come for him. This story began 3 years earlier. During a cold winter morning, Patrick had set out on a walk through the nearby woods with his loyal dog. The forest had always seemed safe, and predators were rarely seen in this area. But on that day, Patrick stumbled upon something unexpected: a young black bear, clearly not in good shape. At a time when bears should have been hibernating, this one looked weak, cold, and exhausted. Realizing the bear was in trouble, Patrick made a quick decision. Without help, the young bear might not survive the brutal winter. So Patrick rushed back home and returned with food, fish and fruit. The bear devoured the meal gratefully. Patrick didn't stop there. He brought back bundles of hay to create a soft, warm bed, and even constructed a small shelter from branches to shield the bear from snow and icy winds. Satisfied that he'd done what he could, Patrick left the bear to rest, hoping his makeshift shelter would give it a fighting chance. A few days later, he returned to check. To his delight, the bear was curled up inside the shelter, fast asleep. Relieved, Patrick quietly walked away, careful not to disturb the bear's hibernation. As time passed, Patrick's life returned to normal. He often wondered about the bear, but assumed it had moved on, perhaps to another forest, far away. Fast forward 3 years to a loud noise outside Patrick's home. Curious, he glanced out the window and froze. There on his porch stood a massive black bear with her cubs. At first, Patrick felt his heart race. A mother bear with cubs is often a dangerous sight, but something about this bear seemed familiar. Then it hit him. This was the same bear he had helped survive that harsh winter years ago. She hadn't forgotten, and now she'd brought her cubs, as if to introduce them to the kind stranger who saved her life. Cautiously, Patrick stepped onto the porch, moving slowly to avoid startling the animals. To his amazement, the bear and her cubs approached him gently. It was as if the bear, whom Patrick would later name Simone, recognized him as a friend. He offered them fruits and berries, which they accepted happily. For Patrick, the moment was surreal. A wild predator had returned not for aggression, but seemingly to express gratitude. From that day on, Simone and her cubs became regular visitors to Patrick's home. Unlike most wild bears, they showed no fear of him. Instead, they played in his yard, explored his garden, and climbed his trees. The cubs grew bolder and more playful over time, sometimes even joining Patrick's dog for games on the grass. Simone would sit calmly nearby, watching her cubs, fully trusting Patrick to keep them safe. What amazed Patrick most was how Simone had broken the usual barriers between humans and wild animals. Bears are fiercely protective of their young, yet Simone seemed to know Patrick meant no harm. The visits brought Patrick immense joy, and he began filming these extraordinary encounters, sharing the heartwarming moments with friends and neighbors. Soon, the entire community knew about Patrick's unusual bond with the bears. Videos of Simone and her cubs playing in the yard amazed viewers and served as a reminder of the connection humans can share with nature when treated with respect and kindness. Years passed, and the cubs grew up to become strong, independent bears. But even as they matured, they continued visiting Patrick's home as if it had become a second sanctuary for them. Sometimes Simone would leave her cubs to play in Patrick's yard while she wandered off into the forest for food. Patrick couldn't help but smile, watching the playful bears who seemed to treat him as one of their own. Today, Patrick still eagerly awaits Simone's visits every spring as the bears emerge from hibernation. He prepares treats for them and cherishes the moments they spend together. To Patrick, the bond he shares with Simone and her cubs is a beautiful example of how small acts of kindness can create lifelong connections. This story reminds us that even the wildest creatures can recognize love and compassion. Patrick's friendship with Simone proves that when we respect and care for nature, we can build extraordinary relationships that defy expectations. What started as a simple act of kindness turned into an unbreakable bond, a bond that will inspire us for years to come. What do you think about this incredible story? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more amazing stories like this.